Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Wednesday edition of the show. So pumped to be here with you on Orange Bloods Live. Cody, it looks like Texas is in the run. Dude, it's once again having to go head to head with Oregon. At least this time, it's a 5-star 2026 defensive stud that's at least from out west. These Ducks aren't coming poking around here in Texas and trying to steal some dude out.
He's pretty nice from California. We'll talk about him, but it's an interesting edge group. If you go, or not edge, defensive end group. If you go through it, being that there's nobody in the entire defensive end group. Now, defensive end versus edge are two different things. There's not a single defensive end offered in the state of Texas by Texas.
Are defensive ends? I should know this. Are defensive ends and edges considered differently on rivals?
Yeah, on rivals, defensive
Is it
end.
just WDE is edge?
They switched it up this year. It used to be they used to have strong side DNs and weak side DNs. Now they have defensive ends and edge rushers. They just switched that up about a couple of months ago. So in the rankings, they're all different now. Okay. So when I say that, I'm talking about the defensive end classifications.
Well,
it's all non-Texas guys. It's New Jersey, Georgia, Cali, Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, Missouri. No Texas kids. You muted yourself. What happened here? I think you just muted yourself on accident. I don't know what happened. You're still muted. You're still muted? You still good? All right. I'll just keep talking about the edge rushers until he gets it fixed in. Yeah, when you look at the edge rushers that Texas has offered, it's interesting. I thought that, I'm working on a project right now over on Orange Bloods that it's part of the new recruiting, unloading of content on Orange Bloods of recruiting stuff day after day after day. And one thing that hasn't been dropped yet is out-of-state recruiting rankings, which I've been kind of hard at work on over the course of the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 weeks. And the defensive end group was the most interesting to me because whilst I'm even going to be looking at everybody that Texas offers and then guys that they don't really focus on, even like on the offensive line, I talked about offensive tackles that they haven't even really focused on. Emmanuel Iheanacho from Maryland. You talk about Jackson Cantwell from Missouri. Both guys that have really no focus on Texas or Texas isn't focusing on. The defensive line group, mainly the defensive end room. I need to get that phrasing right because it used to be, like I just said, weak side DNs, strong side DNs on rivals. It's now defensive ends and edge rushers. So I'm going through the defensive end group today because the name of the player that we're talking about is Richard Wesley from Sierra Canyon, Chatsworth, California, 6'5", 255 pounds. And I'm looking at him in conjunction with the rest of the group. And it's interesting. Not a single Texas player. Alex, you back?
Think so.
We're back.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I had there was a power surge in my house.
It was interesting because all of a sudden the mute button popped up on my screen for you. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, no, it was weird. Like I was trying to tell you when you couldn't hear me, but I got all like something like the lights dimmed or something. And all these notifications came up on Restream telling me that it's never happened. I think there was a little power surge, but yeah. So back to what you were saying.
No, I was just kind of going over the project that I'm working on, which is out of state rankings. Catch has the in-state rankings for all Texas guys. I'm working on out of state rankings right now. And I thought it was very interesting, given it's the one position right now in the class that is like predominantly completely out of state players. Is this defensive end room,
but not edge?
No, I'm talking about defensive end. Edge, you have Tyson Ejuaku from Georgetown, Texas. You have Jesse Ford from Arlington, Texas. You have Jamarian Carlton from Temple, Texas. KJ Ford from Duncanville. Kelvin Carter from Decaney. And Pathan Porter from Melissa, Texas. So there's a plethora of edge rushers, but from the defensive end perspective, which when I've watched through most of these guys, most of them have been, to me, strong side defensive end projections. One guy, Anthony Kennedy, is currently committed to Missouri. I classified him as a 3 tech. And then another guy that there's 2 more guys I think are tweeners, kind of more 5 tech players, but the rest of these guys I think are standard strong side defensive ends. And for those wondering, this is going to be dropped on Orange Bloods. I released the offensive line one a couple of weeks ago with Felix Ojo and Krempen and stuff like this, but the defensive end group is probably going to come out tomorrow. And I'm just going to keep on working position by position through all the 2026 class. So,
but you're doing it. So while I was off, you just announced. So you announced this. You're going to be doing out of state rankings for everybody who's not in state because Ketchum does the LSR.
Correct. But I mean, just because, and kind of what I was getting at was like, regardless, I'm going to be doing the Texas guys anyways. But I just thought it was very interesting given when I got to this position, it was like everybody's out of state.
So I'm curious. It's interesting with the D and edge thing. Like I wasn't aware of it. Like, is Rivals doing a good job with classifying them, with putting them in the correct buckets?
I haven't gotten to all the edge rushers yet. I haven't got to any of the edge rushers yet. I've been focused on the offensive line. I'm at D end. I was actually going to go to D tackle and then edge, but I think right now I'm going to go to edge next. I did 15 defensive ends, and I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them classified as strong side defensive ends. One, I'd say a 3 tech, and one I'm fairly certain is like a tweener, a 5 tech type of a defensive tackle.
I find it interesting that they put KJ Ford as an edge, and not as defensive end. Is he only like, what does he weigh? Let me just
240, 6'4", 240 on Rivals.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a little bit heavier than that. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I'll be interested to hear if you think that any of these guys it's kind of I kind of thought they didn't do the best job in the past between the SDE and the WDE. It feels like it's just kind of a new way of saying that. But
I think so. I think it's an easier way of saying that. So I'm assuming when you switch from SDE to WDE, or from that classification, which is strong side DN and weak side DN, people probably ask the question, people that don't know probably ask the question, well, what's the difference between strong and weak? It's a lot easier to say, well, he's a defensive end and this guy's an edge rusher, because an edge rusher, you could just say he's an edge rusher. His job is to get the quarterback. And defensive end, you can classify as it's not.
The edge rusher's not always on the weak side.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's a little easier to,
yeah.
Those guys are easier to point out, I would say. Some of these strong side defensive ends are like, they have pretty good pass traits, but they're predominantly better run defenders, I'd say.
So the guy we're talking about here is Richard Wesley from Sierra Canyon High School in Chatsworth, California. He's a 5-star defensive end, 6'5", 255 on Rivals. And Jason had it in the rumor mill this morning that he posted a bunch of good stuff in the rumor mill, including maybe we could talk about the Aaron Gregory stuff. But for Richard Wesley, so at first it was looking for this guy who had reclassified. Did he reclassified? Am I getting
recently reclassified? Actually, 2 hours ago, he was listed class of 2027 on Rivals. He's now listed 2026. So somebody switched it.
So he reclassified from 2027 to 2026.
Okay. So this is all brand new. I haven't opened up this page in 2 hours. 2 hours ago, he was listed 2027. He's now listed 2026, the number 1 defensive end in America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, and we'll talk about why in a second. But what happened was, apparently, from what Jason's saying, is like there's been confidence. What he said was confidence is dwindling with those schools, and that there's been a shift, and that there's thought that Texas could swoop in and be a major contender here, which I find interesting. It's not like, it isn't like Texas doesn't have good young edge dudes, right? You know what I'm saying? It isn't or good edge / defensive end dudes, especially when you consider the fact that right now it's looking like Lance Jackson's going to start out playing strong side defensive end. Justice Terry, he has the body to at least start out playing strong side defensive end. You know, there's still Colton Vasek kicking around whenever he gets back. That's some great young talent, you know. I guess it just sometimes it feels like to me that whenever something like this, like a major shift happens, it might come because the school has some like a big opening at some spot or something like that. Say like, man, we can get you in. You can come play early, get out of here in 3 years, stuff like that. Because the fact of the matter is, if you turn on this guy's huddle, his highlights are, I mean, he is a sick puppy.
You texted me that. I hadn't gotten to him yet, and you said this is a sick puppy, and I was like, oh boy,
Sick pup. Did you watch him?
of course.
I mean,
Can I tell you my comp?
uh, yeah.
Or I'll wait. I can wait.
No, let's hear it.
Daniil Hunter.
Daniil Hunter. I mean, I think that's probably good.
Because what I remember of Daniil Hunter, so I think this guy's got great length throughout his entire frame. He's got ball skills and savviness. I think he's got great pass rushing skills for being on the strong side, preferred strong side, very strong, and kind of a little stiffness in the upper body, but with great length and I think good IQ in the run game. And those are all things that like I think of. People think of Daniil Hunter as like a sack artist or a pass rusher, and he can get double-digit sacks, but he's definitely not a 20-sack guy. And he's known for his run defense.
So we have Keith Williams here, and he's always a big help. But I want to make sure that I correct him here, and that is Zena Yamuzalo is not a strong side defensive end. He is an edge. And Trey Moore, by the way, I'm not sure if he's even playing. Yesterday at practice, he was playing inside linebacker. I don't know if that's going to change or not. But yes, Trey Moore of last year, Colin Simmons of last year, and certainly Zena Yamuzalo, not a strong side defensive end, but you got the rest of those right.
The Orogbo thing's interesting. I didn't know he was injured. I know he weighed in at 208 pounds yesterday, but I didn't.
I mean, that was one thing. Somebody asked about something about Smith Orogbo, or there was something about it. I'm like, what number is he? Because I'm not sure I saw him. He's number 46, I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's injured. But yes, I didn't know about that. So thanks for that update, David Keith Williams. Thanks to everybody in the chat for being here and helping us out. The reason I like the Daniil Hunter one is I just looked up his mock draftable. He was 6'5", 252 whenever he came out. This guy kind of already is that size, But the thing about him is almost whenever you watch him, again, sick man. Because honestly, even though he's 6'5", his arms are so long that it almost makes his body look a little bit like boxy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because your eyes play tricks on you whenever his arms are that long, and you think maybe he's more of this kind of boxier, kind of squattier, not as tall dude. But then you see he doesn't have the Colin Simmons burst off the edge. That's just not what he has. Don't think him. Think. Do you guys remember like Cedric Reed? You probably don't remember Ced Reed, Cody, but he's a super cool guy. I love talking to him whenever he was here. But he went on to play. Ced Reed got drafted. I think he got drafted by Buffalo, but later around. Where did Ced Reed get drafted?
I don't know. Every time I type in Ced Reed, it brings me to Ed Reed.
Cedric Reed.
No, it brings me up. Ced Reed. Let's see here. He had 131 tackles in college, 6'4", 272, 4 years. He had a 10-sack season in there. Where'd he go? Where'd he get? Bills. Bills as a UDFA, Dolphins, and then the Los Angeles Wildcats in 2020. XFL.
Gosh, I can't believe we have to have a draft of these Los Angeles Wildcats tomorrow with you and your friends from back home in Minnesota.
UFL, baby. We're gonna get football back tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. Well, not tomorrow. Friday.
We got football
night.
back on Friday, man.
Friday's the UFL kickoff.
We'll have to see how many. Maybe we'll talk about on Friday on Final Takes how many Texas players made the UFL this year.
Oh yeah,
I'll look that up.
I'm sure a few did. But you can just Richard Wesley. You can see him whenever. First of all, let me just say that if you watch his huddle, this is one of those huddle reels. This is this is a Javion Osborne, this is a Colin Simmons, it's a Fasusi, it's a Justice Terry. It's a very obvious, like, this guy is awesome. It's like you see the traits and you're like, okay, this guy's awesome. He's probably the best in the whole country. Cody's saying that he's ranked best in the country with the reclassification. But I don't compare him to Colin Simmons at all because he doesn't have near the get off.
Yeah.
But for him to move the way he does, and I loved his junior. I mean, I watched his freshman and his junior highlights, right? And even his freshman highlights are just a terror, dude. It's just but as he used to be a junior and he's more filled out, you could see that he's gotten a little bit more refined on how he can bend the edge. And he's super good at just getting home and just getting to the quarterback. But I think it's the length of his arms that really, really helps a lot. But he's just got a lot of bend to him, got a lot of natural flexion through his ankles, through his hips. He does this thing where you don't always expect a strong side defensive end to be able to just kind of take take their body and have it lean like this coming off the edge. To where right when they get around, they're already at they have such advantageous leverage to the quarterback, and he's really, really good with his body positioning and stuff like that, and nasty finisher, solid tackler. It feels like every time he gets a quarterback sack, he always knocks the ball 15 yards out of his hands for a fumble. Just really gross, man. It's a very good huddle reel, and the fact that Texas could be on this guy when they have just such a. I mean, I feel like they got like this whole bounty right now of these young guys that. I guess it's just that what they're telling them is they're like, look, hey, Lance Jackson's out there right now. Justice Terry's going to be out there right now, but eventually those guys are going to be moving inside. They were recruited as, I think they were recruited as defensive tackles. We've talked about it.
I mean, Terry feels like, they did take 3 defensive tackles technically last year. If you count Terry as a defensive tackle with Sharma and Charles. Rogbo is 208 pounds, so the jury's going to be out on that for maybe 2 years. Lance Jackson, we project as a D tackle. Like, if it does turn out that all 4 of those guys end up on the inside, technically there's room for it when you give into account Trey Moore seems to be projected to linebacker. Ethan Burke's gone after this year. All of a sudden, you turn around a year from now, and if Lance Jackson's a D tackle, you're talking about Vosick, Simmons, and Zena as that's the edge room.
You think Vosick?
What do you mean Vosick? He's a redshirt sophomore, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you said Vosick, Zena, and Simmons.
That's all. If what I'm saying is a year from now, if we're projecting Charles, Sharma, and Terry to stay D tackle listed, I know Terry's working strong side right now, but if we're projecting that those 3 guys are D tackles by next year, and Lance Jackson we're projecting to play D tackle, if he ends up moving inside, a year from now, you're looking at an edge room with no Trey Moore, no Burke, and you're looking at Vosick, Simmons, and Zena in 2026.
Are we talking okay? But are we talking edge, just both defensive end and?
I'm talking both defensive end positions. I'm talking about the recruiting scholarship board. I'm talking about 2026. If you look at the current board, you get rid of Trey Moore, you get rid of Ethan Burke, you project Lance Jackson to defensive tackle. You have Vosick, Simmons, and Zena,
and Smith Orogbo.
Yeah, but he's 208 pounds, like I said. Like, the jury's out on that thing for if you bring in a 5-star like Wesley, I'm sorry, Orogbo. That's just not how the math works.
What they're going to do, I mean, okay, I think what they would end up doing in that kind of situation is like, they're probably going to need to draft. They're probably going to need to recruit linebacker. Why not? Man, somebody's asking me close to the team, not a coach on the team, just somebody who's a close observer of the team that doesn't have any real say about what they do, or whatever. Saying, why don't they do linebackers like Georgia does? Maybe they could do that. Maybe they could do that because the bodies the bodies right now of the guys that they're bringing in are larger.
Yo,
Like they're
yes.
larger as far as these edge guys, right?
Maybe that's what they're doing with Trey Moore.
Yeah, no, I honestly think like it's a much more nuanced it's a much more nuanced discussion to have about Trey Moore than just to say they've moved him to inside linebacker.
Yeah.
That does like let, let's let's explain why, right? Because it isn't right to say that Trey Moore all of a sudden is now like Leonga Lafau's backup or something like that. It's
Mhm.
like that isn't the right thing to like. That's that's the wrong way to look at it. You know, it's like buying meat at the grocery store. Do you do you really want to do that? You can go
Nope.
to Texas Beef Traders. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. We have our beef jerky for sale from Texas Beef Traders. You can scan the QR code there or look at the description below. You don't want your meat shot up with antibiotics, steroids, Lord knows how many vaccines, weird, all kinds of growth hormone. Who wants all that stuff? I want my meat to come from ranchers who are honest, hardworking, hand in the dirt, salt of the earth, my kind of people, right? I don't want that herd commingled with any other herds. That's what you get at Texas Beef Traders, man, and you get it fresh every single week. The meat, hey, it's Wednesday, it's Hump Day. Today was the day that the package came in. Today is the day. So you go in there this weekend to Texas Beef Traders. You're gonna have beef that was brought directly from one of the 3 ranches today. All
Yeah.
right.
If you go in this weekend, you might be a little bit late. I'd go in after work tomorrow.
Well, yeah. I mean, who knows? It's you can go in whenever you want. They're open from 11 to 8 every single day now. Whenever I first met Darren, they were only open they were only open Wednesday through Sunday, and they were only open from 11 to 6. Texas Beef Traders has grown so much that now they're open daily from 11 to 8 p.m. So obviously they're growing, and the reason that they're growing is because the people have realized that this meat is delicious. It's so much better than the grocery store. You get 10% off when you tell me you heard about them here on Football with Friends, and it's just you're supporting a great shop. Darren's a great dude. These are great ranches. These herds are amazing animals. Three different herds: Wagyu, Piedmontese, and Angus. It's I can't say enough about Texas Beef Traders. We talk and talk and talk about them. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Make sure and tell them that we sent you. And yeah, you'll go in there and you'll get an earful about these Longhorns or whatever else you'd like. If you wanted to talk about Pearl Jam, you'll get an earful about that too from Darren. He's the most Pearl Jammy, old kind of weird Texas cowboy guy you could ever imagine. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Get your 10% off. All right. So with Trey Moore, the wrong thing to think, the version of going to the grocery store to get your beef, is they've just moved him to linebacker. The Texas Beef Traders version of that is to say maybe they are going this Georgia way, and maybe they do want their guys to look like the Michael Williamses and the Jalen Walkers of the world. And
I'm sorry. When a minute ago you said the Georgia thing, did you say that this was a thought that you had or a thought that somebody put into your brain?
somebody put in my brain,
Okay.
but not somebody with any power over recruiting.
But with relation to the football team?
Yes.
Okay.
Who knows what's going on with who's somebody always around the team.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so he said, I don't see why they just don't do this, but it was in relation to a Trey Moore discussion,
Mhm.
right? Somebody who's not a coach, and he doesn't recruit, but he's always around the team. I asked about Trey Moore, and he's like, well, yeah, like look at what Georgia does. It's like those guys pop up everywhere. Like they play edge, they play off ball. Like you never know where they're going to be. And he said, you can picture what Trey Moore is going to be doing this next season. as a little bit more like that, and that role is going to be considered just more of a linebacker. So I just wonder if they bring in these, if they were able to bring in the Richard, like a Richard Wesley, or if they're targeting this type of player, which they did last time, right? As David Keith Williams in the chat mentioned earlier, they're lining up Zena Umusilo right now at the edge spot, not at the SDE, but he does bring up a good point. That dude did weigh in at like 255 or something like that. What did he weigh? What did Zena weigh? 19,
240 something.
No, it's bigger. It's 6'5", 259.
Oh, 259.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean,
I got to look back and see what he weighed last year.
He's at edge right now, but I mean, obviously, he does. I mean, Zena does not look really maxed out to me. So these are bigger bodied guys. So, it's interesting that we're having this discussion about the difference between defensive end and edge with the whole rivals thing. But Zena, I agree with David Keith Williams that it could be something. He could maybe, if he keeps growing like this, he probably have to move to strong side defensive end. That's not where he's lining up right now.
By the way, I thought that he would have gained some weight. He was a year ago 255, and in the fall he was at 260, and now he's 259. So he's literally the same weight. But you're the one that visually sees him.
He looks. I mean,
he looks like he's physically matured.
Yeah, but he doesn't, like, to me, he doesn't look like an oversized edge at all.
Has he? What would you say he's gotten in better shape? If you see he's leaned out, like what?
Well, yeah, I mean, bigger arm, like
you can tell the strength and conditioning through
bigger upper arms and shoulders, and it's the typical stuff.
Yeah,
more developed. But maybe even I wouldn't say leaner, because it felt like he's always been he's always looked really good. That guy's always looked good. It's just it's an interesting topic. It's a good thing that Colin Simmons is here for 2 years, because it gives you a couple years to you'll find that super sprinter block dynamo sort of off the edge guy, right? But in the meantime, I do think that any kind of reworking or retooling of the way that the linebackers are deployed, or having the third, or just having the three, dude, as good as Maurice Blackwell looked yesterday at the pro day, having the three linebacker stuff wherever he came in there, the guy he wasn't a zero, but it's like, man, it didn't bring much extra dynamism to the defense. I think Trey Moore, with the way that he was coming on last year, and the sack pedigree that he brought with him from UTSA and stuff like that, I think that there's more that they could do with that guy when deploying him in a more versatile scheme, especially when what's been promised to him this whole time is saying, look, you're not getting demoted. This isn't going to be bad for your NFL stock. This is something that's going to help you the same way it helped us when we moved Jahdae Barron from nickel to outside corner. In the same way, it's going to help Jalen Gilbo this year that we moved him from star to outside corner. And it's going to show these NFL teams that you have the versatility to, be multiple. And that's what every defense wants is to be multiple.
Do you ever think that Texas will go to a 3-down lineman with the overhang linebackers, kind of like Georgia does? Like I mean, I'm watching it right now. Like they have multiples, obviously, but it's like a pseudo 5-man line, but it's really 3-man down with these two overhangs, and then they have a guy playing middle, and they sort of have like a nickel athlete.
Yeah, it's sort of like they're almost in a 3-4, except they have one guy, like the weak side linebacker is more of like a dime linebacker.
Yeah,
you're right. So what Texas will do sometimes, it's not too often that they go to odd front, simply because it's really just about how you classify the overhang guys.
Mm-hmm.
Texas buck in, so they're hybrids. So you can be like, well, if Trey Moore's a linebacker here, then they're running they're technically running like a shaded 3-3-5.
And I'll be honest with you, based on the conversations that you and I have had the last 6 months about how we kind of look at Lance Jackson, Justice Terry's a sort of a pseudo tweener right now, like, and the idea of having Trey Moore back with Colin Simmons has always been, well, Trey Moore's not. I mean, Colin Simmons isn't going to give up any reps. It's like, all right, well, what if they're both just playing this overhang Georgia defense type of a look, and you have a 6'5", 350 pounder, Travis Shaw at like a nose, and you have guys like Lance Jackson and Justice Terry and things like this moving around, playing kind of 5 tech and stuff like this. I mean, the way that the roster's built right now for the front, I could tell myself that story and completely understand and see that happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it for sure. I get it. And they, especially for their, especially for their NASCAR stuff and their dollar and their dime stuff. You know what I mean? For that stuff, they'll easily, for those, they'll just go and they'll go more undersized. Like for those kinds of things, that's something where they'll just have, they'll have like they'll have down on the line like one big guy, like
Burks,
say like
yeah.
Shaw, but then they'll have like Ethan Burke and Lance Jackson or something, or you know what I'm saying? And then
Put
then they'll have
Justice in there. Put Shaw, Ethan Burke, Justice, and then your overhangs are Trey Moore and Colin Simmons.
well, they've done that kind of thing. They've done it. So
Pretty spicy.
yeah. Well, it's not going to work too well versus like Diego Pavia, right? or something like that. But yeah, dude, it's gonna work well against any team that's having some kind of third and 9.
I mean, it worked well against Texas for Georgia.
Yeah, golly, did it?
And I think Travis Shaw is every bit as good as Nazir Stackhouse and Zion Log and all these, kind of these donkeys that have played for Georgia on the interior the last 2 years. Not the Carters and the Jordan Davises of the world, but he's better than anything Georgia's had in the interior the last 2 years.
Almost creeping up over 400, close to 500 people watching between X and YouTube. Thanks so much to everybody for being here. Of course, we couldn't have all you guys here interacting with us without the Specs chat lines. We certainly thank Specs, but also streaming across the bottom here is the email that you can send us in emails to. Thanks to everybody who's emailed in. Even if we haven't responded, we definitely always read them. And somebody sent idea for a show the other day that Cody and I are actually going to do as soon as we get kind of out of spring ball and have a little bit more leeway to talk about other subjects. So, and I'll make sure and respond to that guy too and let him know. But if you guys want to email us, we always check that thing. And we know that most of you are watching the show later and you don't watch it live, which is fine. This show's at night. It's fine. We certainly love having the chat here. But if you want to interact with us, you want to talk with us, let us know what you think. Send us your hate mail or your death threats. If if you're hate something that we say, you can do it there. It's fine, and we won't turn you into the cops. The only thing that we will turn you into the cops for, though, is of course if you go buy your liquor anywhere other than Specs.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shout Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you, shout, cheers to saving.
Hi, yes, football with friends here on Orange Bloods Live. Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier. We're here every night from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. Cody, any other takeaways from the? Did you find it interesting about the possible Aaron Gregory flip from Texas A&M? I thought that was sort of an interesting thing. Texas A&M takes Mike Brown off the board as far as 2026 wide receiver. And now, Aaron Gregory. And dude, what is A&M is getting A&M sure is getting a lot of big visitors.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. I just saw the thing today that was pumping up their visitors for this weekend. Haven't seen the full list. I saw the link for it, but I'm not going to pay for a subscription from a site that doesn't pay us. So that's just how that works. But I did see it, like every week after week, it feels like they're getting,
Eventually, you might need to buy it. If you have to keep on riding beat behind enemy lines, you might just have to invest in a TexAgs membership. Dude. You're going to get much better info there than you are off the Texas side, I think.
That's
via Texas A&M side, I think.
I think you're probably right. I've been able to get some decent stuff there, but it definitely feels like it's a different level over on old TexAgs. But I've heard it's not cheap, so
It's $17 a month, dude.
which is maniacal.
I mean, what can and then but then you don't.
I better get coupons mailed to me if I'm paying $17 a month.
I want to dude. If it's $17 a month, I want you to send. Yes, I want coupons for like a free pizza or something.
I want
like one of your corporate sponsors.
I want like hey, $5 off at Specs. I want like give me something. Give me like spend $100, get a free cigar, something.
Do you know the craziest thing is that $17 membership at TexAgs, that's not even the best one. It's there's one that costs $25 a month. And so even if you get that, you might not you might still be missing out on something, I guess. But the thing is with that one, you have to jump through all these hoops and show them. You have to prove that you're an Aggie. To get on the $25 board, you got to you got to send them in your like transcript or whatever, send them in a pic. Like you got to provide your student ID or something like you got to prove you're an Aggie.
So you're not allowed to just be a fan. That's like pure. You have to be an Aggie.
Yeah. And it costs you $25 a month for the privilege of this.
Does TexAgs like support an NIL or anything? Or do they just
TexAgs? I think, dude. I think the TexAgs is somehow they are intertwined in with the 12-man foundation. I don't want to go out on a limb and say anything here, and I'm not here disparaging them. I think that Billy Lucci's done a good job with that website.
Yeah.
I think it's the best A&M website. I think I don't hate him like a bunch of Texas fans hate him. I think he's a good business guy and stuff. I think
you gotta respect him. That's bottom line.
Yeah. Well, he's got the best access. It's it's like, and the way he's done it is, I think it's kind of like their studios like look down onto the A&M like practice fields. They have like it's right there in the middle of College Station. It's like says TexAgs. It's a big building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think that they're kind of all intertwined, but I don't claim to know exactly how. But they're definitely all big. They're definitely all really big fans of the Aggies over there for sure. But anyway, but they're having a big weekend.
Can I ask you a question? Not about that weekend.
Yeah.
About back to the edge room, the edge conversation,
okay. Yeah,
or the defensive end. I should say defensive end conversation. Sorry for clarity there. When you were, and this can be for anything. This is kind of off the wall. It's just something I had in my mind for the last like 10 minutes, and I just keep thinking about it. In like when you're looking at a prospect, so NFL is a little bit different, but when you're looking at them in high school, and you have the thought of, this guy's got supreme traits, but he's raw. He's super raw, but you can see there's like a little bit, like you can see like some Tarzan, you can see some Jadeveon Clowney in there, like, but it's deep, and he's athletic, but he's got, he's a little knock-kneed, or he's a little light through the shorts, or things like this. If you think I'm just asking you this as a straight up question. If you think a guy that fits that is a supreme traits guy, really raw technician, really raw, good athlete, but very raw in everything. If you really like him, but you think right now he's probably like a 3-star, would you go out on a limb and rank that guy high or grade him very high? Or would you kind of stay in your pocket and because the way I have my grading system laid out, and this is exactly what I'm asking you, is basically the way my grading system is laid out is if you are a supreme traits guy, but you're really raw from a technician standpoint or really raw as an athlete and you're missing some things or you're a little maniacal off the field, you're getting graded below the majority of 3 stars because there's this boom bust thing baked in. Does that make sense or not?
Well, it doesn't make complete sense because you didn't explain what you meant about you getting graded below a 3-star.
So the way the grading system works, the way the grading system is built is preferred walk on, low 3-star, 3-star, high 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, which is on basically unattainable. It's an 8.0. And the low 3 stars I call a prospect lacking physical or athletic traits. The player has the football IQ but may lack physical ability or pure talent. These players are targeted as like a program builder, developmental prospects. Your high 3-star is an average traits player, generally probably known as just a general 3-star. Average physical traits, productive seasons in high school, ability to develop quicker via maturity, may not be the most physically or technically sound prospect with limiting factors. The mid 3-star, which is what I'm asking the question about, is a supreme traits, potentially a raw technician, new to the game. This player may be a bit maniacal on and off the field, exciting flashes on tape, but can be inconsistent. This player has 8.0 for a ceiling, which is a 6-star with bustable floor due to character, injury, or developmental.
And that's a mid 3-star?
That's what I'm asking you is how would you classify those 3 things as, because I just have that, maybe
what you just said, the upside to be the 6-star.
Yeah.
That's
but also with a bustable floor.
It's gotta be then I would consider that a low 4-star.
Okay, thank you.
Because that's what a low 4-star is, right? It's like I think I don't have it all written down, but if I think about a 5-star prospect, what I think about is this is a dude who has all of the. We understand that in a lot of I look at things through the prism of the draft because that's how I grew up.
Yep.
I cared about the draft, right?
For sure.
That's can't believe how much I've always loved the draft. It's so crazy. All it is like a glorified job fair. It's like
get the job. This guy's really bad at his job. He's not getting it. Really what you're doing.
Whenever you see these guys go in the first round of the NFL draft, almost always, it's going to have something to do with the traits and what you can pull out of them, despite what they've already done production wise, right? It's always going to be something about the traits. It's very rarely that a team does something that oftentimes feels very appropriate. I always invoke whenever the Cowboys took Travis Frederick. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Center out of Wisconsin.
Yep.
And you're just like, that's an odd first round pick because he's a guy that just does everything right, super solid, no super traits, right? It turned out to be a great pick, right? Turned out to be great, right? It's like, and I think honestly, not to go off on a tangent, but that's like the Daniel Cruz conversation. That's like for an interior offensive lineman. If they just do everything right, like I think you're fine taking high kind of safe floor guys there that don't necessarily have as high a ceiling, right? But that's not a first round draft kind of pick.
Correct.
If that makes sense. So that's what I think of a 5-star. I think about it like, if this were the NFL, would that be a first round draft pick, right? For a 6-star, I've never really. That's something that you just kind of said. I've heard Catch kind of maybe say it before. I don't know what that means. That's like saying I think he's not only a first round draft pick, but he's going to be an All Pro as a rookie or something. Is that kind of what
that's what I wrote? Like literally, I mean, It's playing at the highest of levels, elite physical traits, elite dominator at all competitions, level headed off the field, professional mentality. It's close to unattainable, and it's an NFL projection.
Okay, so. If a 5-star is like the high school version of a first round NFL draft pick, I think just a 4-star, just a general 4-star, is somebody who has all those traits, or no, somebody who showed flashes of those traits, but has shown a floor higher than what you've seen out of a typical 3-star, right? But if they've showed flashes of those elite traits, they're there. Can I pull them out? Can I get them out? But the floor is just not as high, right? They aren't that good a player yet, right? But you've seen the flashes, and the floor is good enough. They're really good, right? That's a 4-star. That's why I would say a low. It has to me be a low 4-star, because I would want them in my bucket of 4-stars, the kind of guys that you're saying. Because if I've seen the flashes of the 6-star,
Yep.
but there's also the bustability, the floor is not there of a mid 4-star. If I were doing this thing you're doing, I would say if I've seen the flashes of a 6-star, I can't have that guy be a 3-star.
Okay, then finish it then, so that's for the grading perspective. But then if you rank them, do you just rank based on your grade, or do you say, well, I think if I'm drafting this thing, this is why I'm looking at it. I'm pulling the curtain back. I'm done grading. I'm pulling it back, and I'm going, all right, now I'm going to rank them based on my grades. Generally, you would say highest grade to lowest grade, which would be 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, etc. But with those guys,
is there a player that you have in mind that you think could be a bust, or could just be as just boom or bust as can be? Because it would feel like, for me,
Damod Lewis.
Okay, so there's a guy.
Damod Lewis. He's from Ballantyne Ridge, Charlotte, North Carolina.
How do you spell his name?
Damaad Lewis.
Okay. All right. And so talk about him real quick.
I think he's a little bit of a freak. He's got good recoverability in the run game. He needs more creation in the pass rush, but I think he manipulates the pocket with power, with ease. Very raw athlete and prospect. His huddle has him playing receiver at 6'5", 240 pounds. And I just think I think he's got room to grow as a human being. But he's got tons of room to grow as a player. And I just there's flashes there of freaky athleticism and some pretty nasty traits.
And interior pass rush. You can't rank this guy as a 3-star. Are you kidding me?
I know. That's why I'm asking. That's why I brought it up, because I've been thinking about it.
I think you got.
He's not even ranked on Rivals right now, by the way.
What?
He's not ranked on Rivals right now.
What's he ranked on the other sites?
I don't even know.
Well, let's look. I mean, you might have found a good player here. Hold on.
I just looked on Rivals. I don't look on. So 247 has him as the 38th defensive lineman in the class and a 3-star.
What are his offers?
His offers are Cal, Cincy, Georgia. He's got Texas, USC, Oregon are the biggest. Everything else is like Rutgers, Minnesota, Kentucky, App State, Charlotte.
But good volume, and it's stuff like Cal and Cincinnati and Georgia Tech and Kentucky and stuff.
Yeah. He's got like 20 offers. Yeah.
I mean, look, you can't base it all on a 1 minute 59 huddle. This isn't film, right? This is highlights. But I mean,
you like him? I don't know what to do with him, because I think that there's real stuff there. But my maturity grade, I give him a 5.3 out of 10, which is I think there's a lot left to grow.
Yeah. I can see why you're having trouble with this player. Even some of his highlights, there is some pad level and discipline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Good luck figuring that guy out. You asked.
You think it's improper to say
I can see why you're asking the question. I think though naturally, as just a function of where you grade them, right? And also just so you don't got to answer a bunch of questions to people.
You got to put a force
anybody. And even if you were scouting at a scouting department for some college or for a pro team or whatever, you simply could not go into to the higher up and say, here's my grades on them, but I have these guys ranked in ways that don't align with my grades at all.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? I think
I know that's why I'm like my brain's kind of in a pretzel with it because it's like functionally and how my grades are laid out. Like you kind of view it like a fourth round guy, like in the NFL draft, like a developmental guy or a projection guy. And generally in the draft, those are going to go right and like the fourth round.
I think you got to rank that. I think you got to rank this kind of guy as a high 3, low 4, and you just have to make that choice, man. You got to buckle down and watch him more. I don't know. It's tough.
All right.
Any spring football thoughts before tomorrow? I'm super worried it's going to rain. Any weather forecasters out there that know what it's going to be like down in Austin tomorrow? Because it's showing in Spicewood. It's like,
why are you acting? Why is your glass half empty right now?
Well, I mean, look, dude, it's like
45% in Austin per the internet. My dog just turned my light off, so that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it's showing if you look at the map, it's like it has rain starting. It's looking better now. It has rain starting at 10 a.m. So maybe we'll be able to get it in. But it's got rain it's got a 35 to 45% chance or to 50% chance of rain from every hour from 10 a.m.
I think that sounds like there's not going to be any sun. So there'll be no sun in your eyes. You have no sunglasses on. You'll get to see practice extra clear, extra crisp, and you'll get to really give us some real analysis on Andre Kojo being the starting right tackle. Calling the boat a boat because it's a boat.
Anything you think is going to be different? Anything to keep an eye out on?
I think that they're going to continue to play with y'all's head when it comes to the defensive line, and you're just going to continue to see just random group, not even the defensive line, the defense. You're just going to see just random groupings of guys mixed in with each other. You know,
it's wild because it's wild, man. Because like I'd say there's maybe like I don't know if there's other reporters out there who can figure out what's going on based on what they're doing. Right?
I think you want to know what I think? I think they're trying to just get tape of players playing next to each other, moving around next to each other to kind of just get visuals on like a Zena lined up to a Bavard, a Zena next to a Shaw, a Simmons next to a January, like all these different combinations. And I think that's probably, I mean, you're day one OTAs, like 150 days away from day one. Like, coaches are maniacal, dude. They want to see different things all right, that doesn't work. Let's never do that again. All right, now what can we build from here?
Do you really think Andre Kojo is gonna be the right tackle through spring?
If he looks like a boat and they tell us it's a boat, it might just be a boat.
But isn't it a duck? Looks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
I think you're right. I've said boat like 6 times in the last 2 days. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah, but Baker looks good too. I think that's gonna be one to.
He looks like a boat. How about that? He looks like a boat because he's big. That's where I was
big, man. He's big. Yeah. He's big like a big old pontoon boat, man. 22-foot bass buggy. All right, so hopefully we'll have. So the plan for tomorrow will be. If we do have practice, we'll have a show where I'll come on with Catch or with Chad or Catch.
Both
tomorrow, right after practice, and we'll have the full breakdown right here on Orange Bloods Live. We'll plan on having football with friends and stuff. We hope we'll have practice notes. If we don't, we'll do our best to see what we can get from behind the scenes and keep you up to date. As we know it's we're not gonna get every practice opened up to us, so we're gonna have to rely on some more sources and stuff like that. Whatever it is, we're gonna get you all the info over on orangebloods.com. So expect a more kind of spring practice heavy show tomorrow. Again, we're here every night from 6 to 7 p.m. Before we get out of here, though, Cody, we got to can you show off that poncho shirt of yours? You can kind of see some of the interior on that thing. How it's got that kind of netting on the inside where it keeps you so cool.
When I sent you a link to a new shirt from Poncho. I can't even remember exactly what the title of it was, but
that's how sick Poncho shirts are. It's like it has people like texting each other saying like, "Oh my God, look at this one."
It's the like the sand colored, like the brown sand colored button up short sleeve. And you know how I loved it because it's the Dumas, 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 great name. And it's a short sleeve, kind of like browner, kind of like rugged outdoor looking shirt. And I go out, have a beer with my wife and our friends this last weekend. And this guy comes around the corner, like from the hallway where the bathrooms are at, and I was talking this direction and I seen it out of the peripherals over here. And I saw this shirt and I was like, dang, that's a nice shirt. And then as he got closer, I read right here, Poncho. And I go, oh, I should go say hi to this guy. And he just walked right past me and then he went out the door. And I didn't want to interrupt him, but I was like, you know what? That's in my next order. I'm getting the Dumas. It's a great shirt because I was wearing a poncho myself too. And I wear them everywhere I go. You wear them everywhere you go, except for practice yesterday. I think you'll do the right thing tomorrow and wear a poncho, but the Dumas, that's the one I'm getting next.
Dude, one quick thing about Poncho. Did I tell you that I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts is the Meat Eater podcast with Steve Ranella, and you know that Steve Ranella is promoting Poncho now as of this week. They've finally gone. Our little boys all grows up and grows up and grows up and grows up. Now you can email us fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL. At Cody Carpentier. We just have 4 things that we'll ask of you. 1, please like the show. It really, really does help us. It takes 2 seconds, then it's free. Subscribe to the channel. Again, that helps, and it's free. 3, if you have friends that you think might like this, if they like scouting, evaluation, they like the NFL draft, SEC, Longhorns, recruiting, whatever, NFL, fantasy, dynasty, UFL. So I don't. Hopefully, we won't talk much UFL, but if you think they'd like it, man, if you could just send them the show, text them the show, say, hey, man, check out my guys, Cody and Alex, we would appreciate it. But most importantly, thanks to you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, whether it's live or whether it's you're watching it back like most of you do. We certainly appreciate you guys. We can't tell you how much it means to us that the show continues to grow even here in the off season. So it's a testament to y'all. So thank you. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m. Football with friends. Love you guys. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.